What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by Autobahn. My name is Max, and today we are checking out the all-new Maserati Grecale Folgore. It is truly the only way to say it with an Italian accent, because otherwise you just sound like an idiot. So, Maserati Grecale Folgore. It is just better that way. This is the electric version. That is what Folgore means, and well, we absolutely loved the Trofeo version of the Grecale. So let's take a look at the design. We've got a new front bumper with this inverted grille for the EV, of course, to close it off a little bit, still have some cooling going in there, but not as much is needed, of course, and it's just a little bit more closed off for a better aerodynamic efficiency. Beautiful Maserati logo there. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that this is Bianco Astro or Astros, which is a very, very nice color. It's a beautiful design. I love the size of it, and I think it's a good looking car. It's a different car. You know, if you want something that you don't see that often, this is a really good option. I'm going to do a quick walk around because there's this super thin cold rain and it's very, very uncomfortable. Wheel wise, we have these aero optimized wheels. This is a 20-inch wheel, but you can also have this super cool sort of tri-spoke design, which I would definitely recommend going for. You can also have that on the Gran Turismo. Beautiful, beautiful wheel. And behind that we've got Maserati brakes. We've got standard air suspension on the Folgore, and also these three vents. Well, they used to be vents, but they now light up when you lock and unlock the car, which is a cool detail. You get these bronze logos for the Folgore. We've got privacy glass, panoramic roof as well, and this bronze Maserati logo. And then at the rear, again, I think it's a handsome car. It's a good looking car. Design is great, and you still have a proper usable boot. So the idea of Maserati was that you have three different versions and they want them all to be as similar as possible, which I think is a really, really good approach. So you have a hybrid 4-cylinder, you've got the Trofeo with the V6 turbo, and then you have this Folgore, which is electric, but you still have a very big usable boot. Do we have a frunk as well? I'm not sure. Love this key, by the way. Look at that. That is just gorgeous. Let's check out this, see if we have a frunk. No, we don't. So big cover hiding an electric motor, because we've got a 105 kilowatt hour battery pack and two electric motors, one front, one rear. 205 kilowatts, 205 kilowatts, 410 in total, which is like 550 horsepower, and it's got 820 newton meters of torque. So let's get in, because it's horrible outside. And in here again, just like with the last Grecale we drove, this is gorgeous. Lovely interior, there's leather everywhere. It's a beautiful design. It's a more conventional, conservative approach to an electric car, of course. Again, they just want three different versions of the same car. The fact that it's an electric car doesn't mean that it needs to look like a spaceship and have 7 screens and you know, all kinds of nonsense. No, this is just a Maserati, and it is electric, and that is it. So we have this screen right here for the infotainment, and then the climate is down there. Heated seat, here, heated steering wheel. Let's go. And then, yeah, this all works really well. It responds well. It's clear to read. It's easy to use. I love that. This is good. And you can have this clock up there. Again, you've got shortcuts on the sides, which is great. And then you can have a classic clock there. You can have a compass, the pedal input, a G meter, and the battery percentage. This is very useful. We've been using that one a lot because we drove this car from Turin in Italy back to the Netherlands. They asked us if we wanted to do that, and we thought, that's my third arm. Ooh, not that one. So yeah, click in the top right corner to check out the video. We drove 1100 kilometers in an electric car, and we thought it would be a good challenge to set ourselves to see if it is doable and what it is like. So this car has a range claimed WLTP of 487 kilometers. I've seen a couple different numbers, but that is the one that I've seen most, which, as we know, is very difficult to get close to. You're never going to actually get 487. So we usually say that with these weather conditions, you're at around 65% of the range, which kind of checks out, because that means that you're around 320 kilometers of range effective. In the real world, you know, with highway driving, stuff like that, we averaged around 320 kilometers with, you know, mostly highway driving, which was a challenge. That was a very challenging 2 days, because I think normally if you would have like a Trofeo version, we would have done it in 1 day, and now it took us 2 days. So yeah, it is something you have to take into consideration, but it is a great car to do a trip with, because it's spacious, you have great materials everywhere, it's very practical, great speaker system as well by Sonus Faber, and yeah, all around just a great place to be. So let's start it up, hit that button, and then we have driving modes. So we've got off-road, max range, GT and sport. Sport also gives you a sport sound, which you can turn that off, and we can, a bit too late there, and we can engage the sport suspension. Let's turn that on as well. You can also use this button right here to engage sport suspension. Max range mode is the one we used for the big trip, of course. As you can see, you gain a little bit of range. It limits the power. The throttle pedal is a lot less sensitive. You can only do 130 kilometers an hour, and the air suspension lowers a little bit more and a little bit sooner for better aero, of course. Also, climate goes into an eco setting, stuff like that. But we're going to do sport mode for the B road, and we have a electric motor display there, so you can see the front and the rear motors, which is cool. So let's head out and see what it's like. Well, I already know what it's like because we've done 1100 kilometers, but I literally have not really like properly pushed it because we only did highway driving. We also have an ESC off button here. And there's also some fake sound. So they put some speakers on the spots where their exhaust used to be. And yeah, it's emitting a little bit of sound from there, but it's not crazy. It's not very loud. And in here as well, I have to say they judged it pretty well, because they wanted to give the customers a little bit of a Maserati experience, but they didn't overdo it. It's not too loud, not too spaceshipy, quite like that. So power wise, as I said, we've got 550 horsepower, 820 newton meters of torque. It's plenty to get this car moving. It weighs around 2500 kilos, so it's pretty heavy, of course, but well, it's super wet, but we're still going to do a little 0 to 100. 4.1 is what they claim. I think it should be able to do that. Ooh, a little bit of wheel spin there. We also have these pedals behind the steering wheel, so the column mounted pedals, classically Maserati, of course, and you use those to increase or decrease the regeneration, which is great. It's nice to have that close by, because that means that you can use it, you know, on a mountain road. If you're actually driving on a mountain road to your winter holiday or whatever, you can use the regeneration to give the brakes some breathing room, something like that. It is quite useful. I was actually downshifting. Idiot. Oh. So you can see that it actually sends quite a bit more power to those rear wheels. That's a big difference. And in range mode, it also sends most of the power to the rear wheels, because then, you know, it's more efficient, of course. charging up to 150 kilowatts at a fast charger, which it actually does. So we use the navigation and then it starts preconditioning the battery, and then if you have a good charger, it will do 150 kilowatts, and that means that you go from 10 to 80% in 39 minutes, which is just, I would say, just enough. It is right on the verge. It is useful, it is a useful range, and it charges up quickly enough, but you know, they're not setting any records. It's enough, but it's not great. If you look at Porsche or Hyundai or Kia, or those guys, they are charging much quicker. This is a 400 volt architecture, which is kind of strange because the Gran Turismo has an 800 volt architecture, which means that it can charge up a lot quicker, but it can also regenerate and deploy the power much better, quicker, less heat. It's just a way better system, but yeah. So I do have to say, like, steering feel and all that, the driving bits of this car and just a car being a car, this is very good at that, because it feels luxurious, it feels solid. So now you can hear the thing sound a little bit better. 100 to 200 we did 12.86, and the top speed is 220 kilometers an hour. Actual kilometers, so this is like 230, and then the limiter kicks in. It's very comfy. You have that air suspension, of course, so it absorbs everything really well. I actually like the suspension in sport mode better than in comfort mode, because I feel like it's a little bit more settled down. It's a little bit less wobbly, and yeah, just it's great like this. So if you have it in GT mode and suspension sport, it actually handles like a Maserati should. You have a very direct steering, which means that it feels quite agile. It feels a little bit lighter than it actually is. And because this is a very nice size car, it never feels too big or anything like that, while it is very practical and useful. So the only thing that I don't like about this car is the fact that, you know, they're not really ahead of their time. They're not at the front of the pack when it comes to these electric drivetrains. And if they are going to go, you know, fully electric, they do need to get behind that, because this is a great car. The Grecale in general is a great car. The Trofeo is amazing, but this car is kind of let down by the limited range and just the lack of a little bit of refinement when it comes to the electric drivetrain. You can just feel the car putting the power to the different wheels, and they also use torque factoring by braking on the rear wheels. It all feels a bit strange, and it's not very polished, while the Trofeo felt just 10 out of 10. So yeah, it's a good car. In general, it's a good car. It's just let down a little bit by the range and the charging speed and stuff like that. It's just, they still have that likability. Maserati still has that special feeling. When you get to a dealership, we went to Turin to pick up this car, and we walked in there, and there were, you know, 5 or 6 cars there. And it just has this special feel, this like true Italian sports car brand feel. And that is also why someone might buy this, right? You want something different. This might be a second or a third or a fourth car even. And then the range is pretty okay. If you don't use it for long trips, this range is pretty okay. You do end up with a car that feels really special, that feels luxurious, that has a cool look. People wonder what it is. People think that you drive something cool, and I think if you drive a Porsche Macan electric, then it's not as, I don't know, not as cool as this might be. So they still have that, even though, you know, it's not, maybe that's always been the case. It's not the best car, but it's a charming car, and you want to like it, and you hope that you like it, and other people like it. So yeah, I think people should still buy these cars. It's just, you have to know that you're not buying the technological front runner, and if you accept that, you have a really nice car. But the thing I like most about this car is that it is a conventional conservative approach to an electric car. As they say, they just want to offer 3 different versions of the Grecale, and that is what this is. This is an electric version of that same car. It doesn't feel over the top. You don't have, as I said, 7 screens with 10 different displays shouting at you, all kinds of crazy ambient lighting. No, this is an understated, classy electric car for people who don't really need an electric car, or per se want other people to know that they're driving an electric car, but they just want a Maserati. And I think they succeeded at that. Alright, so that is it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed driving it. Well, it was limited at 220, which is good because the weather is just horrible. But yeah, I've got my heated steering wheel and heated seats, so I'm happy. You can subscribe by clicking the big button in the middle. You can also check out this review of the Grecale Trofeo, which is an amazing car. You can also check out this playlist, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.